that was going on, check this out. This is from RAIN, which is literally a organization specifically focused against, like, trying to prevent grooming. Look at this. This is what grooming is, okay? Victim selection, gaining access and isolating the victim, trust development and keeping secrets, desensitization to touch, and discussion of sexual topics in an attempt to make their behavior seem normal. So if you are an adult talking to little kids about sex, then you are literally, and then you're approaching these kids to talk to them about sex, and then you're selecting which kids you're going to talk to about sex based on how those run. So that's victim selection. You gain access and isolate the victim. So that's what these, if you're an adult teacher and you're talking to little kids about sex, then you're gaining access and you're isolating that little kid. And then keeping secrets, dude. Trust development and keeping secrets. That was specifically what the Florida schools were doing, was literally purposefully keeping secrets between the kids. So these teachers and school administrators were going to these little kids and making them keep secrets about sex. That is classic grooming. Going to a little kid as an adult and forcing that little kid to keep a secret from his parents about sex. That's classic grooming. It's right here. And then desensitization to discussion of sexual topics. That's exactly what you're doing. If you're going to little kindergartners and first graders and second graders and third graders, to talk to them about sex topics, you are literally purposefully desensitizing them to discussion of sex topics. Classic grooming. Attempt by abusers to make their behavior seem normal. Again, teachers talking to little kids about sex things, trying to make that seem normal, that it's okay for adults to talk to little kids about sex. It's got all the signs of grooming. All the signs of grooming. It's just crazy. And then there was this article from the Wall Street Journal that was fantastic. One of the topics we were going to have was about insulin. And this is so good. There's some, so what was, I found super interesting about this. Okay. So the Democrats try to do price controls on insulin, and there's so many things wrong with it. It wouldn't do anything. Almost all of the information that the Democrats are putting out about insulin is false. Insulin is false. And it's a complete, total, like, political job that would have done nothing. And they've got all kinds of studies and statistics in this, cited in this editorial about the insulin situation, which I thought was interesting. So, seem to be a waste of time for your logic. Don't throw pearls before swine. Everybody always tells me that, Nightmare Shero. Don't throw pearls before swine. But then again, like, by going on those panels, I have had lots of people. I've had lots of people come to my stream. I've had people come to the Lord before from seeing me on those. I've had people see me on those types of panels before, and then come into my Twitch stream and start watching me, and then ultimately give their life to Christ and become Christians and stuff. So, It's been really, really positive in a lot of ways for me to go on those, but it's brutal to listen to. It's pretty much disgusting what some of those leftists were doing. So the other thing is, dude, is their religious bigotry is so off the charts. These people are bigots. Particularly the leftists on that panel. They are actual bigots, dude. Actual bigots. Vaush especially, and then same with that, like, James guy or whatever. Genuine religious bigots. These are the most prejudiced people I've ever heard of in my life. They are so intolerant and closed-minded and bigoted. They are bigots against anybody that disagrees with their religion. They're they love pushing their religion. And then this whole idea that, you know, oh, it's the conservatives pushing the social war. It's like, dude, no. The American people were just going about their lives normally, and these radical leftists took these extreme sexual things and started forcing them on little kids. And so now the American people are reacting and we're going, whoa, we don't want you pushing your extreme sex content on our little kids. We don't want the government and public schools pushing your extreme sex ideology on little kindergartners and first graders. So all this culture war stuff is 100% because the radical left started pushing their extreme ideas on the American people. The American people were they're just going along their normal lives, and all of a sudden the radical left got these extreme ideas about sexual content and sexual things, and they started trying to force it on everybody and shove it down everybody's throat, including forcing it on little kids. And they want to force their transgender sexual identity, all this stuff, sexual orientation stuff on little kids. And it's absolutely perverted. To try to force their sex ideas on little kids is absolutely perverted. It's completely wrong. It's completely inappropriate. And it's this culture war stuff is 100% started by the left. The American people are just reacting and trying to say, no, we don't appreciate this. We don't like this. The mere fact, dude, Vaush was going out of his way to try to justify talking to little kids about sex. And then having public schools talk about little kids about sex. They're twisting and turning and coming up with excuses and talking about completely unrelated things, all to try to justify and defend public school teachers talking to little kindergartners and first graders about sex and about their particular views about sex that are rejected morally by a lot of American people. And then they justify that by their own religious bigotry and prejudice. It's really, really disturbing to see. Frankly, I hope the Democrats keep doing this, dude. I hope that the Democrats continue to go down this extreme viewpoint, because these extremists, these prejudiced, bigoted extremists like Vaush and James and whoever else, they are pushing the Democrat Party to absolute, complete, and utter defeat, because they are so out of touch with the American people. These people are so extreme and so far out of touch with the American people that if the Democrats listen to even a tenth of what something like Vaush or James say, the Democrats will get wiped out and their party will have to dissolve. They'll be. I mean, you look at like this idea about like the parental rights bill and the idea that public school teachers shouldn't be teaching little first graders and second graders about adult sex topics. That's 60, 70, 80% of the American people support that. You're looking at 10% to 15% of the American people that are these extremists like Vaush and James that want public school teachers teaching little first graders and second graders about sex. It's disgusting, and I hope the Democrats continue to go down that route, because they will get absolutely wiped out. And the other thing is like, you know, then Vaush tries to say like, oh well, it's it's good to teach little kids, about sex so that they don't get sexually abused. And it's like, okay, first of all, when you're a kindergartner or a first grader, you don't teach little kindergartners and first graders about sexual abuse and to tell you how to report. You know what you do with kindergartners and first graders? You protect them as a parent. As a parent, you have an obligation to protect your kindergartner and first grader and not let them be around or in any situations where they could be sexually abused. You don't teach kindergartners and first graders about sex to try to prevent them from being abused. No, you protect them. You're the parent. You have an obligation to protect them. You don't, and then to the extent we're talking about older kids, that's the parent's job to teach little kids about those types of topics, and not even little kids. When they get into maybe middle school or junior high or high school or whatever, then you start talking to them about, hey, if you're going to be going out and doing things on your own in the world, you need to be aware of all these different dangers, and here's how you protect yourself, and this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to say if this happens and stuff like that. When they're in kindergarten and first grade, you don't let them go out into the world on their own. So you don't have to teach them about those things, because your job as a parent is to protect them. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, where Vaush is like, a pervert, dude, like going out of his way, talking about totally unrelated things to try to justify his perverted view that first graders and second graders and kindergartners should be taught about adult sexual things by public school teachers. It's like, no, parents should protect their kindergartners and first graders and not let them go out into the world by themselves in situations where they might be sexually abused. And then older kids, the parents should teach those kids about how to be safe, not the public school teachers. And here's the thing, dude. This whole thing is because these leftists like Vaush, they want to try to force their extreme sex views on little kids. That's what's driving this. The American people were just going along with their lives. The American people just having a normal life. And then sickos, perverts like Vaush wants to force his disgusting sex views on little kids. And so then the American people are like, no, Vaush, we don't want you to be forcing your little perverted sex views on little kids. And so we're going to pass a law that says you can't do that. And if you're going to, and parents need to be notified about things. This is absurd. Like, Vaush is literally defending public schools pushing their own extremist atheist sex religion on little kids and then hiding it from the parents. It's perverted. It's completely wrong. Oh man. And then it's just the amount of religious bigotry was just mind-blowing. That's what really bugs me is just the amount of religious bigotry, and they're open about it. You know, Vaush is open and honest about it. He hates Christians. You know, he hates Christians. You know, and what's funny is by him hating Christians, he's actually confirming the Bible's right, since the Bible says people like him will do exactly that. So he's actually fulfilling biblical prophecy. He doesn't even know it. But he's a bigot. He's a prejudiced, closed-minded bigot. He's a pervert, and he wants to force his sex ideas on everybody else's little kids. And you know, he's a disgusting pervert, and that's the bottom.